Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, gentlemen, for your service and testimony today. I wanted to follow up on an issue that this committee's been very focused on, and that's the activities in the South China Sea, what China's doing with regard to militarizing certain reefs. What we've been doing as part of our strategy. Admiral Harris was testifying recently and talked about how he stated China had militarized these formations. As you know, Secretary Carter gave a very strong policy speech that many of us were out at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore last year about American broader policy. I think that was very strongly supported by members of this committee on both sides of the aisle. I think, though, there's been some sense of confusion by the implementation of that policy. So, Admiral Richardson, do you believe, in your professional military opinion, that we should be increasing the level of U.S. naval activity in the South China Sea within the 12-mile radius or zone of the militarization of some of these island formations? And should we be doing that on a regular basis and with some of our allies? And I'll leave it up to you or the Secretary. And if you can articulate, there's some confusion sometimes. Is it innocent passage? Is it freedom of navigation operations? When we're going within the 12-mile zone, which we have on occasion, what's been the policy from the Navy's perspective?
So I think, just to reiterate what the President and the Secretary of Defense has said, is the policy is that we will continue to advocate for the current international rules that govern behavior at sea, and that we will continue to sail, fly, and operate wherever international law allows. That's worldwide. This Freedom of Navigation program is a worldwide program, but because of the activity and the importance of the South China Sea, 30% of the world's trade goes through that body of water, and because of the activity of the Chinese, there's been a lot of attention there. My advice is that we would continue to advocate for that. We are ready to do more of those types of freedom of navigation operations in the South China Sea when decision makers are ready to do that. The Navy is ready to do that.
And do we do those for example, on a routine basis? Do we transit the Taiwan Strait now on a routine basis?
We do, yes, sir. That and other places are these, wherever there are excessive maritime claims, it is the part of the program's purpose is to challenge those maritime claims.
Let me ask just another quick question. It's a different part of the world, but there's been a lot of interest in this committee by members, not just myself, but on the Arctic and what's happening in the Arctic, how it's a very strategic location, how there's new sea lanes opening up. The Russians have undertaken a massive military buildup in that part of the world, not only for new BCTs and a new Arctic military command, but as you know, significant increases in icebreakers. They have 40, they're looking to add 12 more. We have 2, one's broken. If there was a policy decision made to do freedom of navigation operations in the Arctic, or alternatively, let's say the Russians, with all their capability, tried to shut down sea lanes in the Arctic in the summer when they're opening, do we even have the capability right now to conduct FONOPs in the increasingly important area of the Arctic with 1.5 icebreakers?
So it would depend on the conditions that are there. As you pointed out, that's becoming an increasingly strategic area of the world, one that we're focused on. As we do this renewed look at the demands and the force structure assessment to meet those demands this summer, the increasing strategic importance of the Arctic will be a key part of that.
So are we looking at increasing maritime operations there, or looking at perhaps the importance of an Arctic port area, issues that I think can demonstrate America's resolve in an increasingly important area? And we've had discussions of how there's this battle between the Coast Guard and the Navy on who's in charge of icebreakers, but what it seems to do is just get us to the point of indecision, and we don't seem to be moving forward on it. Even the President, when he was in Alaska, talked about an icebreaker gap that we need to close, but we don't see the services kind of come into any kind of agreement on why it's important or who's going to do it?
I think it's collaboration and cooperation between the Navy and the Coast Guard in terms of how we provide access and security in the Arctic. The icebreaker mission is clearly theirs, and I know Admiral Zukunft is focused on that very clearly. And
But they don't have the budget for a new icebreaker.
So we're making hard choices in our budget as well.
So again, I see this stalemate between the Navy and the Coast Guard on the issue of icebreakers. That's kind of demonstrated even by your testimony, Admiral.
Sir, I don't see it as a stalemate. This mission is clearly, right now, the icebreaker mission is a Coast Guard mission, and we look forward to collaborating and cooperating with them on that.
Mr. Chairman, do I have time for one more question? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see Senator Blumenthal. I just wanted to follow up on Senator McCain's question on the Iranian capture of our sailors. And I know he already asked it, but these are well-trained American sailors. They have at least a 50 caliber or more in terms of weapons on their naval vessels. What were the ROEs that enabled our sailors to even be captured? I mean, if a hostile Iranian patrol boat is approaching a U.S. naval ship in international water, isn't the ROE to not be captured? And how did that happen?
Sir, clearly international law would prohibit boarding U.S. sovereign territory, which those riverine craft were.
So did we try to resist being boarded?
And there is always the inherent right to self-defense in our rules of engagement. The specific ROE and what exactly unfolded as that happened will be part of the detailed investigation. When that is complete and reviewed, I look forward to briefing you on the details there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.